What if Mikasa heard Eren's conversation with Armin in the paths? Or what if Eren actually had a final conversation with Levi? Do you think Levi ever forgave Eren? Hajime Isayama confirmed that Eren spoke to every one of his friends in the paths before the end. The conversation with Levi stayed off screen. Levi is an Ackerman. Eren could wipe the memories of the others, but he couldn't hide the truth from Levi. Eren tells him everything. The rumbling, the 80%, the fact that he knew Sasha would die and let it happen. The fact that he knew Hanji would die and let it happen. He tells Levi that every death Levi tried to prevent was already part of his plan. Levi gives him his answer. He just stands there, looking down at the man who used every life Levi ever fought to protect as a stepping stone. Connie. Eren brought Connie in, the first thing he told him was about his mother, the Titan in Ragako village. Eren told him she was still alive, and that when the power of the Titans disappeared from the world, every pure Titan still breathing would return to their human form. His mother was coming back. For a few seconds, Connie felt something he hadn't felt in years. Pure, unfiltered happiness. The boy who lost everything was about to get back, the one person he had been fighting for since the beginning. But then Eren told him the rest, that 80% of every living person on the planet would be dead by the time the rumbling was over, that entire countries would be flattened, that millions who had nothing to do with this war would be gone before they even understood what was happening. And Connie's body couldn't take it. The joy of hearing about his mother and the horror of what Eren had become hit him at the exact same time, and he collapsed and threw up right there in the paths. But then, as he looked down at the red water beneath him, he saw something floating, a single potato drifting slowly through the bloody sea, and in that moment Connie picked it up with trembling hands and looked at Eren, and for the first time he understood everything. Sasha's death, the rumbling, his mother's survival, all of it was connected. All of it was the price, and Connie just cried, holding on to the last piece of his best friend while standing in the blood of the world. Annie. What if we saw Eren's last conversation with Annie? Eren spoke to every single one of them before the end. He gave Armin a long emotional farewell. He sat with Reiner and talked about guilt. He explained his reasons to Jean and Connie, but with Annie it was different, because when Eren brought her into the paths, Annie didn't ask about the rumbling. She didn't ask why he was doing it. She didn't ask him to stop. She didn't care about his reasons or his plan or what would happen to the rest of the world. She only wanted to know one thing, whether her father in the Liberio internment zone would survive. That was it. Out of everything happening, out of the millions of lives at stake, Annie only cared about one, and Eren told her yes. Annie turned around and walked away. She didn't look back. She didn't say thank you. She didn't say anything else, because Annie was never the type to show what she was feeling. She had been hiding behind that cold face her entire life, but Eren saw it anyway. The same look he had when he thought about his own mother. The look of someone willing to burn the entire world down for the one person they love. And in that moment, Eren understood Annie better than anyone ever had. Jean. Jean punched Eren in the paths, and Eren didn't fight back. When Eren told him 80% of the world would be dead, Jean swung at him hard the exact same way he always did. But this time, Eren just stood there and took it. Jean screamed at him. What about Mikasa? What happens to her after you're gone? Who takes care of her? Who tells her it's okay to stop wearing that scarf? Eren didn't answer. Instead, the paths shifted around them, and Jean saw something. A quiet room. Morning light through a window, a woman with dark hair and a scar on her cheek holding a baby. Jean froze because he recognized her. It was the life he had always wanted, the one he almost chose before he joined the Survey Corps, the one he dreamed about in chapter 127. Peace, a family, everything he fought for but could never have. And in that vision, Jean wasn't a soldier. He wasn't covered in blood. He was just a man sitting at a table watching the morning come in through the window, and for 1 second it felt real. And whether Eren showed it to him or Jean saw it on his own, it didn't matter, because what broke Jean wasn't seeing it, it was knowing he had to walk away from it. And Eren still didn't swing back, not once, because he knew that everything Jean was feeling was right. Reiner. What did Reiner and Eren talk about in their last conversation? Through the paths, Eren pulls Reiner into a place with no walls, no war, and no titans. First, Eren shows him the volcanoes, fire and smoke rising from the earth, the kind of thing they both read about as cadets, but never believed they'd live long enough to see. Then the the snow, endless white in every direction, the same frozen lands from Armin's book that Reiner once pretended to care about just to keep his cover inside the walls. And for a moment, Reiner forgets the wall he broke, the people he killed, and the mother he took from Eren, but Eren doesn't let him forget for long. Eren tells Reiner everything, the 80% that Reiner will try to stop him and that Reiner will survive. But then Eren tells him the one thing Reiner never expected to hear, that Eren wanted to wipe the world clean because something inside him needed to. The same way Reiner didn't break the wall to save Marley, he broke it because he wanted to be a hero. Two boys who told themselves lies to justify what they really were. Reiner doesn't scream, doesn't fight back, because finally someone looked at him and didn't see a hero, but a mirror. Eren looks at Reiner not as an enemy, not as a friend, but as the only person who ever truly understood what it felt like to keep moving forward. Falco. Eren's last apology wasn't to Mikasa or Armin, it was to the boy he used in Marley. When Falco opened his eyes in the paths, he was sitting on a bench, the same bench outside the hospital in Liberio where he first met a wounded soldier who called himself Kruger, and Eren was sitting right next to him, the same way he did back then. But this time, Falco knew exactly who he was. Falco had carried one question since the day Liberio burned, whether the letters he delivered were the reason Udo and Zofia never came home, whether their blood was on his hands because he trusted the wrong person. And in the paths, Eren didn't let him carry it anymore. He took the weight off the kid's chest and put it back on his own, because every choice that destroyed Liberio was his. Eren showed him something else. Everything Falco had done with Gabi was the inverse of everything Eren had done with Mikasa. Eren pulled the people he loved deeper into the war, but Falco pulled Gabi out of the hatred instead of feeding it. And Falco remembered that first day on the bench, how he sat next to a stranger and chose to be kind for no reason, and how that stranger used his kindness to start a war. But sitting here now at the end of everything, Eren looked at the only person on the other side of the ocean. But now, things take a darker and more melancholic turn. We're going to explore Eren's final conversations with the characters he never got to meet in the paths, completely different from the ones we just watched. Could Eren tell his own mother that he was the one who killed her? In the final episode, Eren confesses that he redirected the smiling titan away from Bertholdt and sent it straight towards Carla. He killed his own mother to set the future in motion. Eren pulls Carla into the paths and she is smiling. Because the last time she saw her son, he was a child being carried away by Hannes. She doesn't know what happened. She doesn't know what he became. And Eren has to stand there and tell her everything, that he grew up and destroyed 80% of humanity, that the titan that ate her didn't come by accident. He sent it, he watched his own mother trapped under that house, and he chose to let her die, because he needed that pain to push his younger self forward. And Carla's last words were, "Don't go." She just wanted her son to survive, and her son became the person who took her life. She would be looking at the boy she raised and seeing a stranger. Could you forgive your own child for something like that? Eren said goodbye to everyone in the paths, but he completely ignored Pieck. As we all know, before the final battle, Eren gave Annie, Reiner, Armin, Jean, Connie, and even Levi a private conversation in the paths, but Pieck never got a single word from him. And this is worse than you think. Pieck was the most loyal shifter in Marley's military. She stayed transformed for months without rest, she carried cannons on her back, and she did all of it for one reason. Her father was dying and serving. Marley was the only way to keep him alive. Every single mission was just so her dad could see another day. And in the final episode, Pieck actually says she wished she had a conversation with Eren after he died. She wanted that closure and he never gave it to her. Eren freed the world, but the girl who fought her entire life just for her father never even got a goodbye. What do you guys think? And you want to know what makes this even worse? Annie got a conversation with Eren, the girl who killed dozens of scouts in season 1. Eren sat down with her and gave her closure about her father. But Pieck, who fought her entire life for the exact same reason, to protect her father, got nothing. Why didn't Eren say goodbye to Sasha if he already knew she was going to die? Eren saw the future when he kissed Historia's hand. He knew Sasha would be shot by Gabi on that airship. He knew the exact moment, and he said nothing. Eren pulls Sasha into the paths before the raid on Liberio. She opens her eyes and sees him standing there. She asks him why he's being so serious, and that makes it worse, because she has no idea that in a few hours she's gone. Eren is standing in front of his friend watching her smile at him, knowing it's the last time. And he can't warn her, because if she knows, she might not get on the airship, and if she doesn't get on the airship, the timeline breaks. So Eren just stands there, memorizing her face, letting her joke around one last time, and then he sends her back, without telling her a single thing. And here is the part that makes this even more tragic. If Sasha had survived that shot, Niccolo would have never attacked Falco with the wine and revenge. Falco never drinks Zeke's spinal fluid, never becomes the jaw titan, and the Alliance never has a flying titan to stop the rumbling. Ironically, if Sasha lives, the rest of the world dies. But there is someone who Eren owed a conversation more than anyone else. Floch was Eren's most devoted follower. He built the Jaegerists from the ground up. He killed people, he burned villages. He did everything because he believed Eren was going to destroy the entire world to save Eldia. Eren pulls Floch into the paths, and Floch is standing there expecting to tell him his sacrifice mattered. But instead, the rumbling was always going to stop at 80%. Everything Floch fought for, everything he killed for, was for a version of the plan that never existed. Floch didn't follow Eren out of blind loyalty. He followed him because he was the only survivor of Erwin charge, and he swore he would never let Eldia be that helpless again. And now the one person he trusted is telling him it was all for nothing. And the cruelest part is that Floch's last act was trying to blow up the ship that would carry the Alliance to stop Eren. He died with a bullet in his chest, still trying to protect a plan that his own leader had already abandoned. He was the most loyal soldier Eren ever had, and Eren used that loyalty until the very end. Was Floch right or wrong? But Eren didn't just betray his followers, he betrayed his own blood, because the next conversation is with the man who gave Eren everything, his own father, and that one has no forgiveness. Eren used the paths to manipulate Grisha. He forced his own father to steal the founding titan. Grisha was so horrified that he begged Zeke to stop Eren. Eren pulls Grisha into the paths one last time, and there is silence, because what do you even say? Eren showed his father visions of the rumbling to break his will. He forced him to commit murder. He took the titan from him knowing Grisha would die. He destroyed his father's life twice. Once in Marley when Grisha lost Dina and Zeke, and once through the paths when Eren turned him into a killer. He looked at the monster his son would become. Even after seeing everything, he could not stop being a father. And when you think about it, Grisha lost everything twice. He lost his first son Zeke when Zeke betrayed him to Marley, and he lost his second son Eren when Eren became the very thing Grisha spent his entire life fighting against. Two sons. Two tragedies, and both of them used their father as a tool to achieve their own goals. But not everyone who died around Eren got betrayed by him. Some were betrayed by the people closest to them, and no one was betrayed worse than Marco Bot. Marco died in season 1 during the Battle of Trost. He overheard Reiner and Bertolt talking about their mission, and they killed him for it. They removed his gear and left him for a titan. He died not understanding what was happening. Eren pulls Marco into the paths, and Marco is standing there with the same confused face he had when he died, because the last thing he remembers is his friends pulling his gear off and walking away. Eren tells him everything. That Reiner was the armored titan, that Bertolt was the colossal. The people he ate with, trained with, laughed with, they fed him to a titan. But then Eren tells him something else about Jean, that after Marco died, Jean completely changed. The lazy kid who just wanted an easy life in the interior became one of the bravest soldiers humanity ever had. Because of Marco, his death turned Jean into a leader, and there is one more detail that makes this even more painful. Years later, when Jean finally found out the truth about who killed Marco, he was standing right next to Reiner. He had to look at the man who murdered his best friend and somehow keep fighting alongside him to save the world. Jean carried Marco's death for the entire series, and he never once stopped fighting. Who was more guilty, Reiner, Bertolt, or Annie? But there is one person in this story who understood betrayal and loss better than anyone. Someone who dedicated her life to studying the very things that took everything from her. Why didn't Eren speak to Hanji before she sacrificed herself? Hanji spent her entire career studying titans. She was fascinated by them, and she died fighting the wall titans so the Alliance could escape and stop the rumbling. Eren pulls Hanji into the paths, and Hanji doesn't yell at him, she doesn't attack him, she tried to understand everything, even the things that hurt her. And then Eren tells her something she never knew, that the titans she spent years studying were never monsters. Every single one of them was a human being, trapped, screaming for help in the only way they could. The things she loved studying were suffering the entire time, and the most heartbreaking part is that after Hanji died, she was reunited with every single scout who fell before her. Erwin, Moblit, Mike, all of them were waiting for her on the other side. The person who spent her whole life trying to understand death finally got her answer, and she walked towards it smiling. But there is one death in this show that is quieter than all the others. No grand sacrifice, no heroic last stand, just a soldier who trusted her captain and never came home. Petra Rull. Did Eren ever apologize to Petra for what happened in the forest? Petra was part of Levi's special operations squad. She told Eren to trust them, to not transform. And then Annie killed the entire squad in the forest of giant trees, while Eren sat there and and watched. Eren pulls Petra into the paths. Petra told him to trust the squad and he did, and they all died because of it. Eren has carried that guilt since season 1, but then he tells Petra something she never knew. That after she died, her father came up to Captain Levi and said that Petra wanted to dedicate her entire life to serving under him. He talked about how proud she was, and Levi had to stand there listening to a father talk about his daughter's future knowing she was already gone. Petra spent her whole life admiring Levi and she never knew if he cared. Eren tells her he did. He just never knew how to say it. And think about this. Every single member of that original Special Operations Squad died in that forest. Oluo, Eld, Gunther, and Petra. Levi handpicked every one of them. He trusted them with his life and he lost all 4 in a single afternoon. That is the weight Levi has been carrying since season 1. Did Levi actually love Petra? But there's one last conversation left, and it might be the saddest one of all, because this one is about a man who was never a hero, never a genius, never a legend, just a drunk soldier who showed up when it mattered most. Hannes. Does Hannes know the truth about the Titan that killed him? Hannes was the garrison soldier who saved Eren and Mikasa in episode 1, but couldn't fight the smiling Titan. He spent years carrying that guilt, and when he finally faced that same Titan again in season 2 to redeem himself, it killed him. Eren pulls Hannes into the paths, and Hannes is probably cracking a joke about how he finally had the guts to fight, but then Eren tells him 2 things that change everything. First, that the smiling Titan wasn't a random monster. It was Dina Fritz, Grisha's first wife, a real person who was turned into a Titan by Marley. The thing that destroyed their lives was a victim too, and second, that Eren was the one who sent Dina towards Carla in the first place. Hannes spent years blaming himself for being too scared to save her that day. He died trying to make up for it, and the truth is, it was never his fault. No matter how brave he was that day, it wouldn't have changed anything, because Eren had already decided. And this is what makes Hannes the most tragic character in the entire show. He was a simple man, he wasn't a genius like Armin or a warrior like Levi. He was just a soldier who drank too much and cared too little. But when it mattered, he stood up and fought the thing that terrified him the most, and it killed him, but at least he died standing. What if Mikasa was standing right there when Eren confessed everything in the paths, and then he erased her memory? In the final chapter, Eren broke down in front of Armin. He stopped pretending. He admitted he didn't want Mikasa to move on, that the thought of her being with someone else was unbearable, that he wanted to stay in her memory forever. He said all of this crying, shaking, barely able to speak. But what if Mikasa was standing right next to them, listening to every single word? Eren pulls both of them into the paths, and for the first time she sees him stop lying. She hears him admit that every cruel thing he said at that table was fake, that he never hated her. She stands there as the boy she loves confesses that he doesn't want to die, and that he wants to be the only thing she thinks about for the rest of her life. Mikasa finally sees Eren Jaeger completely broken, with no walls left. But before she can even say a word, Eren does the cruelest thing he has ever done. He erases the entire conversation from her memory. Every word, every tear, gone. Because if Mikasa remembers any of it, she won't be able to kill him, and she has to be the one to do it. That is the only way to end Ymir's curse. So Mikasa wakes up with no memory of what she just heard. She walks forward, she kills the only person she ever loved, and she never finds out that moments before. She was standing right there, watching him fall to his knees, begging for more time with her. Eren didn't just die alone, he made sure of it.